Awesome, awesome. Well, we have two goals for all you new folks. Two goals. Goal number
Mhm.
one, learn LinkedIn. Goal number two, have a good time. And like Alfred said, the one rule is no being a troll, even if you have pretty pink or purple hair. All right, there you go.
Okay.
Olja, dobre utro, Olja.
Ah, thank you. Yeah. Dobre
What?
utro. But that is not morning. It is almost like evening on our time.
That is awesome. Here, I'm just going to open my pointer here. Okay, cool. So I sent out in the email the KPIs, tags versus lists, which we can get to. Anybody else have anything that you want to bring up? So the priority is always live. So anybody have anything that you want to talk about live before we get into tags, lead lists, and KPIs?
Yeah, actually, I brought a question, which is like a big question for me. And that is about messages. You know, sometimes when I start a new outreach and I just lose some messages because they are snowed under the follow-ups or new connections. And I wanted to learn how do you manage your LinkedIn InMail? So what are
Good.
some of the practices?
That's a good question. So let me ask you just a couple questions. So are you using
Mhm.
the normal LinkedIn inbox or are you using the Sales Nav inbox?
Well, I've got both. I basically use the normal, but if there is a sense to use both, I can try. I just need to see the strategy, how it might work well.
Mm-hmm. And then you said, are you talking about, you said InMail. Do you mean normal messages or are you just using InMail or
Normal
both?
messages,
Normal message?
basically normal messages.
Okay, cool. So the bad news is that there's no super easy solution,
Yep,
which I'm
I know
sure
it.
I'm sure you're super clever and you're probably doing about as good of a job as you can do. So I'll give you my 2 cents and then everybody else feel free to chime in. So what we'll do is if we're needing to use the normal LinkedIn inbox, we try to do our activity in batches. That's one way to kind of keep things grouped together. Does that make sense? So you might send out the connection request. It might be kind of littered with where people at, but if you can send your first message all in a batch, it kind of puts them
Mm-hmm.
together, right? So that's one way to keep it clean. And then if somebody is not a lead, or if they're just whatever, we'll archive it. Or if we're done with them, we'll archive it. That keeps the inbox clean. Mark as unread something that needs your attention, which I'm sure you're doing all those things because they're kind of just what people gravitate
Yep.
towards doing. You can bookmark the more important ones because each message has like thread has its own URL. You could do that, but that's not really that scalable. There's just in my experience with the normal LinkedIn inbox, there's not a lot more you can do unless you're maybe using like a third-party software. I don't know. For the Sales Nav inbox, and then everybody else jump on. For the Sales Nav inbox, what makes it a little easier is you can, if you're sending messages through the Sales Nav inbox, you can organize people however you want. And so we'll talk later about like tags and lists. So you can organize a group of people based off of where they're at in your messaging sequence using a tag or a lead list. So that can be an easy way to do it as well. The interface is a little bit different because you can message them directly from the search results list instead of going through your inbox. The Sales Nav inbox is not that superior as far as like what you can do compared to the normal inbox on LinkedIn if you're in the inbox. Does that, so you probably are like, yeah, I already knew all that. Anybody else have any tips on that?
If you want to keep track of important messages, keeping a database a database of important message URLs, message links, is a
Mm-hmm.
trick. Your inbox gets really crowded really fast, and messages get lost easy. So
They
while
do.
you're looking at them, if they're important, I bookmark them in a number of
Yeah.
ways. The easiest ways is in a Google Sheet.
Yeah.
And
And
do you
we'll
know,
do,
is there any extension which can help to like transport messages or all the conversations to the Google Sheet, but not only once, but to make it like an automatic action. When new message comes, it can be automatically transported to Google Sheet.
I don't know about automatically.
Yes, but
Yeah.
it's beyond you. Okay. And it's beyond me. That's why I say it's beyond you. There's a version of a program called Duck Soup Turbo.
Mm-hmm.
Gather messages and put them into a Google Sheet. It's a really complex program. It is like open heart surgery, but technically the answer is yes. And this Turbo runs as an application on your computer, and it does do some message stuff like that. It's just, it's a third-party app, and LinkedIn doesn't like these sort of Chrome extension apps. But technically, if you needed to do something because you had to do it, look at Duck Soup Turbo for that.
Oh, thanks. I basically use LinkedIn Helper, and I also know how to use Phantom Buster for some specific aims, which are also like third-party software, but I've never tried DuckSoup, so I'll...
That's the only one that deals with message text.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the other things invite and do all kinds of stuff. Turbo has something that deals with the actual text of messages getting into systems. And my buddy did it, and it worked. He got it into Pipedrive and appended it to the records and stuff. Mike Thomas, who was on the show once, knows how to do that. He was here once, and he did that with Turbo.
What you could also do, but I don't know if it would give you all of what you're looking for. If you go to your inbox and you look in, you can see like there's linkedin.com/messaging/ and then there's that unique code there for the URL. Right? You know what I'm talking about? You can use a macro to just grab your current URL and then pass that to your Google Sheet using a form, like Google Form. So that would require though you pushing a button every time you get a new conversation, and that would let you grab the URL and pass it right to a Google Sheet. I don't know if that serves your purpose, but that's pretty easy to do.
Okay, thanks. I will try it.
Yeah, I might even put that together.
Contributor, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Bruce, you gotta step up. Ask a good question, buddy.
What about you, Jared? Have you guys ever had any thoughts there on inbox, or because you guys deal with that all day?
Yeah, I've worked and dabbled with another program that's basically did the same as DuckSoup Turbo. The only thing is that the price of that program was very high, and it's out of commission now because of LinkedIn.
Yeah, that's always the risky run with anything that's not native. Yeah. Oh, Eric, you're a tech guru. Any thoughts on that? Cool.
No, nothing. I had a question regarding, did the message request inbox, is that something new in LinkedIn free that anybody's aware of? It's very much like the message request inbox inside Facebook. Has anybody played with that at all? The subtitle under that is message requests are for people that you're not connected with that require your approval. Have anybody seen this?
You're talking about where you need to add their email to submit the connection request?
So it's not a connection request. It's actually the ability to message someone who you're not first level connection with inside the free version of LinkedIn.
Oh, you just probably open profile.
No,
Okay.
it's something different.
Because open profile will let you send an InMail for free to someone with open profile. Right? Is that what you're describing? So you have a free account and you can send someone a message for free, an InMail for free? If that's what you're talking about, then the recipient has open profile enabled.
Yeah, no, look at this. If you go to the free version of LinkedIn Recruiter, or LinkedIn, and you go to your message box, at the top where there's a ... on the right, you can select that.
And I'm going to jump on. I'm going to share my screen real quick. Can you want to give me 1 second here? All right, you see my screen there. So go to like search second degree.
Go to your messages box. So go to your normal message box. And then when you're in your message.
Okay, I hope there's nothing shady in
So
here.
up there it says ... on the first line, upper left-hand corner. Click that, and underneath that, see the bottom one, message request inbox. Does anybody use that?
I never noticed it.
This appears to be like Facebook, where if you send someone in Facebook you're not connected to, and the person, it goes into a special area in Facebook that they can basically say, I like to message with you, but I'm not your friend. This seems to be the same thing. I like to message with you, but I'm not connected to you. This is very interesting to me.
Message requests are here. I'm going to do this too. Never mind. Okay. Message requests are from people you're not connected with and require your approval. It sounds like, just from the reading the descriptor, that if somebody sends you a connection request with a custom note, and that custom note ends up being the first thread in the inbox, I wonder if it's that. So you've received a connection request that included a message, but you have not accepted the connection request yet. So like pending invites that include the message. You think that's what that is?
Actually, Isaac, it's when you don't have a connection. If you go into somebody, sometimes on their profile, it gives you the option of connect or message or ... If it doesn't have connect, you go into message, and then you can send someone a message without being connected to them.
That would be an InMail.
No, it's not an email, it's a message. And there's with a third connect person, sometimes they don't have the connect button. It just says message or ... And you can go into ... and then send them a connection request, or you can send them a message.
So if you are not connected with them and you are able to send them a message, it is technically an InMail because you're not connected. And the reason why you can send that free InMail message is because they have open profile enabled.
Got it.
So okay, so that's what he's asking about, right?
I'm not sure. So I think that's what you're talking about with this thing here and the messages. I've never seen this before. I'm checking. Like I've got a couple, but these are. See, this person just sent me a connection request. This is like today or yesterday, and it's not in there. I don't know anything other than that. Eric,
how do you get your inbox? How do you get back to where you were?
But it says declined.
There's nothing there either. How do you get back to where you were?
What do you mean?
How do you get back to seeing your messages here? You have to hack the URL at the top. You have to take everything to the right of message to the top to get there. There's no return to where you were. There's no message option to go back to where it was.
Yeah, that's kind of lame. That's definitely buggy. Eric, that's got to be a brand new thing.
I think it's brand new.
I've never, I don't know. From the description makes me, it sounds like connection request messages or InMail. Oh, there it is. Back to main inbox.
How do you get back to main inbox?
Then go back to the ... again. And then you go back to your area again. There, right there, the bottom one. Right.
Message.
It's a fluky way to get there, but that's how you get there. Now you're back in there.
But I don't know how all of a sudden now click on something to see all your messages.
So I don't think it's InMail because there's a tab for it there.
Correct.
I think that it's like your pending message requests.
I never have anything in there, and I've been trying to make it work. So if anybody discovers anything, just share with me. I don't want to get tied up in it. It's just I thought it was something new that I bring up because it was strange to me.
It is new and strange, and I'm glad we looked at it.
Yeah,
song to me sounds like a Deadhead song.
Yeah, so what it usually happens is they'll add a feature to the UI, and then it'll be like pointless, and then you'll start seeing stuff fill it in. So I would imagine that that's what's going on here. That's really interesting, Eric. Thanks for bringing that up. Huh. That's fun. Cool. All right. Anybody else have any Easter eggs or what? Easter egg Eric. Oh yeah. Nobody?
Easter eggs.
Easter egg Eric. All right, let me do this then. I'm going to stop sharing my screen real quick. Are we ready then to talk about lead lists and tags? Anything else? You guys are priority if we're here live, so speak now or forever hold your peace for the next 20 minutes. Okay, here we go. Boom, 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 boom. Can somebody do elevator music for me while I click these buttons? Okay, you got it? I'll make that a little bit bigger. Do you see what I see? Everybody, somebody give me like a, yeah, do you see my sales nav screen? Okay, cool. All right, so for everybody who is not familiar with tags and lead lists, I'll just do this really quick. So can I use you, Jared, as a guinea pig? Can we look at your profile, give you some free press, and then okay. All right, so there are two ways that you can organize people on Sales Nav: tags and lists. This is not available on a normal free or premium account. This is only in Sales Nav. So if you don't have Sales Nav, we'll look under the hood. So there's a tag, and then I'm going to mess with these this is just for demo. So there's tag, and then there's a lead list. So save, and then we have some lists here, and then you can create lead lists. So those are the two ways, and feel free to jump in if something's not making sense. Those are the two main ways on Sales Nav that you organize people: tags and for individuals, lead lists. Because on Sales Nav, there's a lead list and there's an account list. An account list is a list of companies. A lead list is a list of individual people. So lead lists and tags, we've been using for years tags for reporting, for KPIs, for all kinds of stuff. But there's been a bug for the last, month, guys? Has it been about a month since that's...
Where you can't see the tag here?
Where you can't see the tag.
Yeah.
So what's happened is I go like this, I go to add tag, and I might say video. Oops, here we go. Apply, and then I can't see the tag, which is a big pain point, because in the past, what we do is we tag someone invited if we invited them. And if they accepted the connection request, we would send them a message, and then and we just click and remove the tag, but I can't do that. I can't even see the tag anymore. So we would in the past just go and remove the invited tag and add a no reply. And then if they replied, change it to replied. And then if they are interested, converted to sales funnel, client, whatever. And it was really easy. But for the last month and a half or two, you can't do that. The only way to update someone's tag is to go to search. Let's do this. And I messaged LinkedIn help on Twitter, and I was like, what's the deal? And they said, we know about the bug. So the only way to change a tag is to do that. And that's such a bad, cumbersome, time-sucking way to update a tag.
Terrible.
So I was kind of just hoping that the storm would pass and we could just go back and update everybody's stuff. But month one happened, and then I'm like, crap, here's the next round of reports, and all my report numbers all jaggedy because the numbers are all goofy, right? Anybody? Right, Mike, Jared?
Terrible. If
So
you're using lead lists, that's the temporary solution, I guess, is to try to use lead.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. And so what happens is they kind of functionally work in a very similar way. You give someone a label and they're in a bucket, and you can rename the bucket. You can move them to a different bucket. They both do basically the same thing. The one really big difference, other than the fact that this is not working here on the profile right now, the only other big difference is there is a cap on saved leads, and the cap is 1,500.
And it's $250 per lead list.
And it's $250 per lead list, exactly. Yep. So you can, as you're working through, if you're using LinkedIn for prospecting, once you hit, if you're going to use a lead list, you can create multiple lists with 250, list 1, list 2, list 3. But once you hit 1,500, you're done. You have to, like, somebody has to fall out to add new people. So
It
that's a scaling issue.
it just costs you $50 more a month.
Or I didn't know that. Tell me more.
I'm on the team edition and I get 5,000 leads. And it's $129.99. It's $130 a month instead of $80 a month, and it's 5,000 leads. And I get the smart links. But
That's really good to know. But if it's just you, you can't just upgrade a team without a team, right?
Yeah, no, one person can be a team. Yep.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious. I'm dead serious. One person, a team of one. You get all the administrative tools to manage. Show it. I got it dialed up here. If you want to see
What? Are you sure you're not just grandfathered in?
No. No, I'm a team of one.
That's awesome. That sounds like a emo song from the 90s.
Sound like a band where I've got a harmonica here and a guitar here and a tambourine around my foot.
Sales Navigator switch to this plan.
It went up $5, I guess.
So if you have team, I was thinking that everywhere that I'd read, I thought that you had to sign on the whole group.
Yeah.
That's
Coming soon.
yeah, probably. Yeah. COVID-19 funds are down. Yeah, that's interesting. So you can just, and so Mike, you're saying that if you have team, you get 5,000 instead of 1,500.
Yeah, and you get the smart links and some other things, more this and that, a few other things.
That's really interesting. Thanks for the heads up. And so keep in mind too that you're still going to hit that ceiling eventually with 5,000.
It's still $250 per lead list.
And it's still $250 per lead list.
Lead list.
Yeah. So what we've been doing, like our everybody, has a little bit of a different strategy on LinkedIn. So what our strategy is, we're targeting an audience and we're sending them the connection request. We're engaging them with messaging. And then the end goal is to get them to convert to our sales funnel. So with that process, the number that really easily exceeds 1,500 throughout the course of a year, think of this like in a year-long bucket. Throughout the course of a year is the invited tag. And that's one thing I definitely want to always know is who we've invited. So I don't want to save people to a list called invited unless it's temporary, because I'm going to hit that 1,500 so fast. And then some people they're never going to accept, and I don't want them to keep using my saved lead resources for invited. So what we've been doing then is we've been adding a tag that says invited. And we'll still save someone if they're invited for a short time, but for other purposes, just kind of like for targeting and doing other things. But we're only recording invites with tags for that very reason. And then what happens is, eventually, if somebody has the invited tag and they're a first degree connection, all that tells you is your connection request acceptance rates, right? Does that make sense? Invited first degree means they accepted.
Yeah.
Invited second and third means they did not accept. So it's easy. And then replied, like if it's an active conversation throughout the course of a year, I'm thinking that 1,500 we're going to max it out. Mm-hmm. So, but for now, just since this has been more of a tactical decision, and I'll do this really quick if you're not familiar with tags. So add tag, you can go to manage tag list, and then you can just kind of go up here. And if you want to, you can edit them. Where's the create a new? Enter new tag here. Yeah. Hello. So you can do like that, manage tag list, edit them, that kind of thing. So you typically want to name what you want to record, name your tags or your lead list after what you want to record, just to make it easy.
Isaac, can you hold your screen right there for a moment?
Yeah.
Right.
Oops, sorry, it was on delay.
With the list. I I put a dash or a star or something at the beginning, and then
Yep.
those current tags float to the top. And then when they're not
Yep.
current, I let them go alphabetical down below. But that's a little trick, so you don't have to scroll each time.
Scroll everything down. Yeah.
Yep, that's a really good idea. That's a great idea, Mike. So that's tags. If you're not familiar with lead list, then let's go to lead list here. And then you can go to create a list. So you might do invited, or you might do replied or converted, that kind of thing. Let's just go to, do I have one for replied? No, I don't yet. Replied. And so what we've been doing then is we would add an invited tag. So I'd say invited Jerry to connect. I'd add invited, thinking moving forward that tags are really scalable because there's not a max that I've encountered. And then if he accepts, I'm going to message him, but I'm not going to save him to a lead list until, I'm just going to refresh this so I can add him to the list. I'm not going to add him to a lead list until he's replied. And then I do that.
That's commendable. That's wonderful, Isaac.
Yeah, and then that gives me really quick access when I am in here, and I'll just refresh this again.
A lead till they reply anyway. They're just someone you want to be a lead. I mean, you can say what's the definition of a lead? You know, I mean, they've expressed an interest. How's that? They replied.
Right. And so there's replied where we don't know exactly what their needs even are. Their profile might be out of date, and they've just done the auto, LOL or thank you or thumbs up, and I'm like, you didn't answer my question at all. So that's the replied bucket, and then we have another one for like interested, good lead, converted sales funnel, client, that kind of. Anyways, what you would do then is Ala, are you still on?
Yep.
This is where, did I say your name right? I'm so sorry if I didn't. Ala?
Alia.
Alia, okay, cool. So then you would go like, you could do this. So you might go, and then again, this would require Sales Nav, and this would require you sending the messaging through Sales Nav. Then you might go to custom list, lead, and then replied, and then everybody that has replied is right in there. And you can just go like this. Make sense?
I've got a question. Do you see the difference in reply rate in Sales Navigator and just ordinary LinkedIn?
I think that's too broad for me to answer with any like data-driven confidence.
That's a great question, though, Isaac.
It's a really good question. I can tell you that it's highly contextual too, based off of who you're talking to and what your message is. And here's one big reason why. When you're sending messages through the normal LinkedIn inbox, the recipient, they get the little notification bell, right? Let's go over here. They get a little notification bell up here that someone, they'll get a messaging notification, right? And then they'll get it'll be in their notifications, right? I don't know, I might have turned that off. But anyways, the email communication is a big deal because they'll get an email from LinkedIn saying that Isaac sent you an email, and the blue call to action button on the email is view message, right? When you send a message from the Sales Nav inbox, the email, everything else is the same, but the email call to action is not view the message. The email communication is, here's what the message is. Do you want to reply? Yes or no?
You don't have to click to see the message. It comes right to you. It's beautiful,
right.
Isn't it? When you send from Sales Navigator on the other side.
There's a lot more information about you, your company, where you're at, and your messages in the email. Now, if your messaging is like, but it's also kind of like, there's a curiosity factor as well, though, on the normal LinkedIn inbox where you're like, what is the message? I don't know. I almost want to like go to the platform and read it. And because they're taking action because of curiosity, that can actually help drive engagement, right? Yeah. And if your Sales Navigator message really sucks, they're never going to click through on the call to action to reply to you. So it's really just like real life, where it's just highly contextual and a big hairy mess. Kind of like the bottom of my vacuum cleaner.
Do you have any limits on Sales Nav messaging?
I don't know. The profile, I think that that cuts you off after viewing like 1,000 pages. And
Oh,
so
I see. Okay.
if you're sending messages from a profile page, then
The
it's
size
like
of the
1,000.
message is like 2,000 characters, isn't it, Isaac, or is it bigger than
Oh,
that?
sorry,
Is it-
were you talking about the count or the quantity per day?
Quantity
Oh, sorry,
per day.
quantity per day, yeah. So
Oh.
the quantity per day, I don't know. The most that I've ever done is like 300, but I've gotten in trouble for viewing more than 1,000 profiles. Like we were going through and saving a bunch of accounts, and every page, like account page, has like 40 accounts or whatever. And then so we would like go save it, refresh, go save it, and it would just going all day. And then it's like, sorry, you need to wait till tomorrow. I'm like, oh. So I know that the page view is 1,000. So if you're sending the message from the profile page, it's going to be 1,000. But that's all the only reason. You might be able to go through your actual inbox and blast through a bunch and be fine. But I don't know. Sorry. Anybody else
Okay,
have any
thanks.
thoughts? Anybody else have any thoughts on that?
I'm dialed up for no more than 75 connection requests a day for Sales Navigator, and I'm dialed up at 150 messages a day and around 300 or so views a day. I'll go to 500, but I keep those. Those are pretty conservative numbers that I try to keep to be really safe. I got too much to lose, so well, I'd say 500 on views for me, 150 on messages, and 75 on connection requests. This is where I draw my limits and for clients.
I did just last week. I was working with a few new accounts, and I noticed consistently because the issue that we were running into with new accounts is there's too many people out of network. And so we're just going through and just connecting with a bunch of open networkers just to build your network, just so that you could talk to more people. And on 3 of them, I counted, and after 75 invites, it said, sorry, you're out of invites for today. Try sending more invites or like higher quality stuff. And I was like, that's interesting. I had not seen that message before, and then noticed that it was at 75. And then I waited a few hours. A few of the invitations were accepted, and then I was able to invite more. But I couldn't replicate that on all the accounts. I don't know. So it seems I've never encountered like the limit where they said you're out of that for the day, but it seems like I just learned this last week. It seems like on a free account, 75 is the limit. And then I had a friend, he encountered that, but he was inviting from normal LinkedIn, and he had a Sales Nav account. And even though he had that message on his normal account, he could still send invites from the Sales Nav account.
That's interesting.
Isaac, to build on that, they have something similar on Instagram. You can contact people on Instagram, people you don't know, and you have a limit of how many you can send at an hour. So if you're doing contacts on your phone, you'll get the limit. So then you can open up and use your same profile on your iPad and then send, or open your profile on your laptop and send. So that's how my sales team and concierge team got over that. All of a sudden you've maxed out. So my director of events says, I've maxed out. Alfred, can I use your phone and log into our account and send messages? Then the next person, then the next person. So at least on Instagram, that's how we do it. I'm not quite sure if you can get past that on LinkedIn, but I do notice that there are features on LinkedIn on my phone that are different than the LinkedIn on my computer and same on my tablet. So I don't know if you guys have noticed that, but I cross function between the 3 different devices.
They're same thing. I wouldn't. So for the different features and stuff, LinkedIn has obviously the browser version, and then there's the mobile app for like iOS or tablet or your phone, whatever, or for Android, Apple. There are some really cool features on the app, like uploading video as a native embed into the inbox. And so you can't actually do that on your browser. And I'm like, why not? You have to use your phone. So what you can do though is, I have a Mac, so I don't know what the equivalent would be on a Windows, but there's a program for Apple called BlueStack, and it lets you, it's basically like an Android tablet emulator. So then I can have like a tablet Google Android operating system running on my Mac, and I can have the actual LinkedIn mobile app on my desktop and then use those features there as well. So something to think about, because sometimes it's kind of slow to use your phone and stuff, but yeah.
Wow, that is cool.
BlueStack, it's free.
So you essentially emulate an iPhone or an Android phone on your Mac, on your MacBook or on your big machine, so you can run that version of the app when you can't run it on your desktop natively. That's brilliant.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
I wrote that one down.
Yeah, BlueStack if you have a Mac. I'm not, like I said, I'm not sure what the equivalent would be for Windows, but yeah, it's interesting. I know Apple's making moves towards it being one coherent operating system as far as apps go between your desktop and the mobile devices. So that may even just go away eventually. But anyways, okay, so real quick, tags and lead lists, right? So invites tend to get high in volume over the course of like a year. So we've been using tags because they're more scalable. We track acceptance rates by who has the tag versus first degree, second and third degree. We're using a lead list for active conversations for replied. We're using lead list for interested, for converted to sales funnel, and for client. And then if somebody is not a lead, we've been using a tag for that. And it's not a solution that's my favorite, but it's what we've been doing.
Yeah, Isaac, this would be time to remind folks about the do not send list.
Sure. So you can, if you're prospecting, you can save your like individuals or companies that are like your clients and stuff. And then you can exclude everyone who works at that company from your list that you're wanting to prospect.
I just call it a do not send list if there's people I want to avoid, and then I always include the /red do not send list and all of the stuff.
Yeah. So when we're onboarding someone, we give them a Google Sheet with their clients, and then we go through that list of clients and then find their company page, save the company page, and then exclude those companies because all the individuals at those companies will be excluded from the list. That way we don't re-prospect their existing clients or the accounts that they're already having like negotiations with.
That's brilliant too.
Yep. Yeah, it just if you're a service provider, 2 weeks ago, I made the mistake of not asking during or before onboarding how many clients there were, and I got the CSV and it was like 3,000, and I was like, oh shoot! So it took us forever. You in that situation, the way that we had to do it, because they had more than the saved. That more than you can do for the list. So you can actually, this is kind of bunny trailing, but you can save way more accounts as long as they're not in a list. So you can save thousands and thousands and thousands of companies as long as they're not in a list. And so what we did in that situation is we saved all their clients just in one big general bucket to saved accounts. And then we went all accounts, exclude. Because that includes excluding just all their saved leads.
Isaac, that's really brilliant there, buddy. Go through that one more time. I really want to make sure I understand that. So if a company has existing accounts, when you save those people, or when you save the accounts as an account, but not to an account list, but when you save an account, but not to a list, but it's saved as an account. That's
Right here. Do you see that?
Yep, and they're
So-
not on a list.
Right, and these are the lists, but the big bucket is right here, and this can be more than the cap. But
Okay.
that's only for accounts, not for individual leads. And
You
then
wanna-
if you have a
Well, you're not saving accounts that are not really accounts. You don't want to save prospects as an account, or you won't prospect them, or so. But that's really great. I hadn't thought of that. I didn't know / could apply to that. That's great.
Yep, so all account, and we just exclude it there. There you go.
I thought you were going to go down to where it says company down there and type in company, find the company, and go / one company, and find another company and / it. And find
Yeah,
another
there were just too many. I mean, 3,000.
1,000 times.
The / maxes out at 20. And then you can use Boolean, and that's still, if you're dealing with thousands of accounts, it'll glitch out. So that's what we've been doing. So if you are having the headache with tags, maybe that'll help you out in some way, shape, or form.
And Isaac, the ones that do not have a company page, you cannot add as an account.
That's correct. If someone does not have a company page, you cannot save their account, because an account means they have a company page. So then what you could do is exclude them. So maybe like Jerry's Lawn Care did not have a company page. And if they don't have a company page, they're not going to be here, right? Because these are just company pages. But you can go like this, Jerry's Lawn Care, and you could use either Boolean and go like not, or you could do that and then do / and exclude the individuals. So you might have, hey, look at all those Jerry's Lawn Care, or not Jerry Lawn. Is Jerry's Lawn Care a thing? No, okay, I'm just curious. All right, so there's that. You could do, so like, let's say GLC for Jerry's Lawn Care, or, duty. I don't know. It's like, can you tell I have 4 kids? I don't know. Or hair are us, which is obviously not me because I'm losing mine. So you could do that, and you could use Boolean and do not with parentheses, or you could just do that.
Do you have any idea how long of a stretch of text you could do on that?
Yeah. I don't remember the count, but I can tell you that on my screen, it's about of text editor. It's about this big. I just eyeball it. I don't know. I bet Eric knows, but I don't know. But here's what I discovered though is, it seems like when the URL gets long, that's when it starts to glitch out. So I had a pretty long string using Boolean, like here, to exclude company names, and then I'd add another one. But once I got to like 3 or 4, search would glitch out. So it seems like you can do a few long ones or more short ones before it starts saying, "Oh, but sorry, oops, we had an error."
I was wondering about that.
Yeah.
It may not be the number of characters. It may be the number of operators.
Yeah.
So you might have long names in those quotes, but if, for example, if it's 100 operators, it may cause a problem. So it used to be characters. We used to be able to put 2,000 and 3,000 characters in a Boolean field, but there is a limit. But we think now the limit is based on number of operators, not characters. And I have
the operator, it would make sense because the operators is what is going to use more of their server resources, right? Because there's too much logic being processed.
Exactly.
Yes, and it combines. It's the combined operators. So it's ands, ors, and nots. If you happen to build a Boolean that has all 3, not just one of the others. But
yeah,
I can test it. I'll give you an answer next week.
Cool.
Eric. Because Eric is the one who discovered that problem on LinkedIn.com. Remember the 5 operators?
Yeah.
That was that's it. All of us here when that happened. Thank you, Eric.
That was a big deal. Yeah, there's a lot of people who are they're being discouraged from getting better search results because it says that there's no results. Just because they're trying to be specifics. Come on, LinkedIn.
They're using 6 operands, and that's not allowed.
Oh yeah. Okay, so Alia, you're using a free account, right?
No, I'm using Sales Nav.
Or Sales Nav. Okay, sorry. Okay, so just because you weren't here, and for anybody that wasn't here, if you do search in LinkedIn, just a normal LinkedIn, you're limited to 5 Boolean operators.
Yeah.
So yeah, and once you hit that 5, it says no results, which is confusing because there are. So people. Yeah, there you go. That's Easter egg Eric dropping nuggets of awesomeness. You're never going to shake that, Eric. Okay, cool.
That was a biggie. Yeah.
All right. So any final thoughts, questions, comments on tags versus lead lists? Pretty self-explanatory.
If you don't have Sales Navigator, you have to make up for it with a spreadsheet by just having links in a spreadsheet or columns in a spreadsheet, rows in a spreadsheet. That's the point.
I guess that's like an interesting task to balance spreadsheet and Sales Navigator, because I'm not sure, is it possible to maintain everything in Sales Navigator without using spreadsheet at all?
We don't use a spreadsheet, so we'll rely on the tags and lead list to organize people instead of a spreadsheet.
That's so interesting to hear.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. So
you might still use a spreadsheet if you want to keep track of the conversations. There isn't what our lead lists and our tag lists that we talk about here don't help you with the inbox conversations. That's still
I know.
Okay.
Well, they actually can, to a degree, actually, depending on how you name your tags and lists. So like if you have a list where it's like follow-up or interested, you could actually do this, right? So maybe your lead list is, let's just, for fun, whoops, that's account list. Let's go to leads. Let's say this was your list that was like requested follow-up. Right? And then everybody here requested a follow-up. And if this list gets long, here's a pain point with spreadsheets too, is that people, like 20% of the workforce gets a new job throughout the course of a year. So if you have a spreadsheet, it's really a pain when you have old data. So if you're using search and you're categorizing people based off of their interaction with you using a tag or list, then you can use, like, you might want to narrow in on an industry or a title. And if somebody has changed jobs and self-updated their own profile, they won't be in that list. Make sense?
Yep. So
that can be just a way, but it's not perfect because, like you said, one thing that we do too. So we'll when we have somebody that's like a warm lead where we know that they're interested, but they're like, send me like follow up in a month. In my mind, like that's something where we need to be on our A game. So they'll be in the list. We'll also go into our CRM and we'll schedule a follow up and grab their profile URL and say follow up with Jer on this date. So we'll do that as well for the people that are farther down the funnel. And then eventually, if they're not a lead or whatever, then we can just update their tag or list kind of thing. So I know that might help you, it might not. It kind of depends on what you're doing too. If you're dealing in large volume, I don't know if that would be worth the time investment, but if you're selling something that's expensive, it makes more sense to spend more time per acquisition.
I also got a question regarding Sales Nav app. I had the issue when I had one account in LinkedIn app and the other in Sales Nav app, and there was an issue with that. So like LinkedIn told me that I'm using like the wrong account or something. Did you have something like that?
I have not. So are you talking about like on your phone, you had the Sales Nav app?
Yep.
And was it the correct email on both, or was it somebody else's?
Somebody else's, but that's like an actual account.
Interesting. So they're looking. So basically, LinkedIn is saying we know that a device is limited per person, and we have 2 user IDs on the same device, 2 different apps. That is almost scary. Wow. I have never heard of that happening before. That's interesting. It makes sense from a security standpoint, but wow.
Yeah, as of since a few months, LinkedIn, when you are making a new profile, is asking your telephone number. You have to enter your telephone number. And before you could enter the same telephone number for several accounts. And now it's stating that the telephone number is already used. So you cannot make another profile with the same telephone number.
Wow. Can you remove the phone number from the profile, give it a week, and then reuse it? Since numbers are kind of numbers are cycled through on a regular basis, it's got to be a normal thing that would happen.
Yeah.
Huh,
When there's an active profile on it, I don't think that's connected, and you don't enter another telephone number. I don't think they will release that phone number.
Yeah, I think you're right. So you'd have, so maybe if you are doing that, you might have to just stagger them out, use the phone number, verify, remove it after it's verified, wait a day or two.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Before I did it for my clients, I made a mock-up with the complete profile, and I entered my own phone number. And when they agreed on the profile, I deleted the profile. But I had several accounts linked to my own phone number, and last week I had to create a new one, but I wasn't allowed anymore.
Nice. Nice. I mean, not nice, but I totally get that.
Yeah. The upside on that is that a fake account is more difficult to make now.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's interesting that they're requiring the phone number. That's interesting. I suppose everybody has a phone these days.
I think that's just going to be standard, that your phone is just one of your ways in. Your phone is also a two-factor authentication, and you can do all kinds of other things with your phone with retinals and face and all that. So I think that's really going to ultimately be the security element into these systems here. You know, phone might be required at some point, not just be supported.
Yeah, it's funny. The last time I checked, most of the traffic that goes to my website is from a desktop browser, which I was consistently surprised about. So there's still a lot of people that use LinkedIn as a desktop browser, for sure. Interesting stuff. All right, hey, we're coming up on an hour, and I want to be respectful of everybody's time.